Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome to this week's episode of the award-winning podcast, Lost Without Japan, a podcast that has been running bi-weekly for more than 5 years, based on Japan and your Lost Without moments. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, bringing you positive thoughts and excitement for your upcoming journey to Japan, as well as his own return in 2 summers. Maurice and I would like to thank you for giving us a bit of your time today and truly hope this podcast finds you in a good place or on the path to a better one, no matter how it may seem at this moment. If you're new to the podcast and joining us from the Podranker article listing this show as one of the best of Japan travel podcasts of 2026, welcome. And if you're a returning Lost Without listener, thank you again for your time. And if you are a member of that very exclusive Patreon Scone Club membership, an extra thank you to you. And if you're coming from our hangout that we just did prior to recording this and watched our video hangout and talks and profanity-laced tirades and talking about calendars and how to schedule correctly with a guest, you could have had that. There's a lot on there too, my friends. We're going to continue to add to that. So head on over. You can have access to a lot of things. And if you are able to do more than that, no, it goes towards my daughter's and I's upcoming trips. Now, listen, our bi-weekly show that we're doing, this is for those of you watching on video or just listening on audio, know that it is Maurice, and he is not only a honored guest, a celebrity, and an honorary co-host, from our Good Time Scone Club's hangout. But my friends, if you've missed the previous episode where we talked about his Dreams 2.0, he did something pretty huge in Japan. And I would love to do something kind of equivalent to that, like having a podcast of things where I hold an event and actually had people come and see us recording in person. But he showed off some of his hard work. And man, just the photos that I saw of that were amazing. I got to say, buddy, my dad always taught me to focus on making memories, right? And how important that is. And it's been even more than normal because my daughter's going to be graduating from high school in a couple of weeks. And so I have that coming with me.
Congratulations, by the way.
That's huge. And then I have my son, who's a year away after he finishes this semester from finishing our local community college and things like that. And then where's his life going to take him? I don't know if he's going to be doing university in Japan, university here, going to Japan for a little bit, and then university. The world is his oyster. He was saying that he might want to go into education, potentially. And I told him there's no rush then because, Maurice, if you didn't know, you have to teach to 68 to get your full retirement. So I would say, hey, start at 30 and have 38 years of teaching as opposed to 48 years of teaching. Go explore, live. You live once, and there's no rush to get to that finish line. But like I said, really, all of these life things are going on, right? And you know that your time is precious with everybody, with you, with me. But watching what you're doing, buddy, man, it's showing, the importance of setting aside that time to do what you want to do, to the dreams that you have, and the experiences that you can have. And we were at a Cubs game, my son and I, just this last Wednesday. They won. I ended up upgrading our seats on StubHub to be 4 rows from the dugout because prices just dropped. And normally these seats, Maurice, are $135 minimum, if not more, per person. So we're sitting there and my son and I are looking at each other like, this is the closest I've ever been to any game at Wrigley Field. And we're seeing players come out and it's just like this amazing experience to have. And I'm like, man, this is another core memory you make with those that you care about. And seeing your event, man, buddy, I could tell. You made some core memories for yourself. And I got to say, from some of the reactions for the limited photos I saw, some core memories of people that were attending for certain. So feel lucky to have you again with me today. Maurice, take it off from there, buddy. Sorry for that preamble ramble that ran a little long, but
No, I love what you do. You gotta keep it up. You can keep going if you'd like.
that's the other Patreon hangout afterwards, but
No,
the,
thank
it's
you
an,
for having me. As always, it's always a pleasure to be here. And you know, you, I say this often, but I mean it. You're a real inspiration for me, and you're a bit of a guiding light for those people that have like a deep, sort of like appreciation for Japan. And your work is obviously not lost on me, and it's not lost on your listeners, I'm sure. So please keep it up. you know, uh, keep it opening the doors to people. It's really freaking cool. Thank you for your kind words about my event. It was very awesome. A lot to learn. Can I be sort of like, like a after the afterglow is has worn off because this was, oh gosh, the event was on the 18th of April, so it's been 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4
okay.
weeks or so.
You could be whatever
So
you want to be, buddy. This is
so
your
I
time.
could I've had time to kind of reflect on the things, and it was a huge like black box, like what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Reaching out to a venue and reaching out to the owner and seeing this if this could be done, and them sort of having to vet me like, hey, look, is this something that I want in my space? Was kind of intimidating, but also really, really freaking cool because it's like the owner is an artist themselves. And so there is a bit of, the merit for the work has to be established, right? And so when I got the go ahead and the artist was in on it to share the space or to just allow me to have the entire space the entire time was really cool. And yeah, there was a whole lot of unknowns, like are people going to show up?
Yeah.
Which marketing works? Which marketing does not? Um, what are people going to buy? And uh, what do Japanese audiences connect with? Are Japanese people going to show up? Are foreigners going to show up? It was just a hodgepodge of a lot of unknowns and untested sort of ground. And a lot of stuff worked. Some things didn't. Some things I could have approved upon myself. But all that said, it was a wonderful evening. The space was packed for most of the night. The event paid for itself. That
Wonderful,
was
buddy.
really cool. The book sales were extremely strong. Sticker sales were crazy. Like people really like stickers. Um, Especially the holographic stickers. People love those things. So those flew away. It was really, really cool. One of the actresses, Lisa, was there in person, and her friends and family came through in force, and there, you could see the support there. You really could. And also Haruka, who was in Australia, was promoting it as well, and so that was really appreciated, and I felt that as well, and it was just really cool. There was just a lot of there to 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 be happy about. And it was interesting because, like, I've heard that Japan and Japanese citizens, a lot of them, whenever they go in on hobbies, they go all in on hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people that showed up who were photography like I don't like to use the word otaku or nerds or whatever, but the
Passionate.
photography
Yep.
aficionados, that
Yep.
the real enthusiasts, they were grilling me about my book. They're like, "How did you do this? How did you get this shot? Where was this at? What did you do? What was your inspiration? How are you working with models?" And it's cool because not only was it kind of like put on the spot, but also people were flipping through the book and seeing work that they admired and they liked, and they were like, how do we break this down? How do I
Yeah.
achieve or get something like that or something similar? Or how do I implement some of your workflow into my personal work?
Yep.
And having those conversations was really freaking cool. And it was just the best. And so here's another thing that didn't work. And it's funny because I got to enjoy it myself. But I thought that people would be really into American candy, snacks and stuff,
And you're like,
and
nope.
they just didn't care about it. Like, people came for the photography. People stayed around and talked about photography, so I had this spread of candy that they're like, "Oh, that's neat." but they weren't all about it, which was
Yeah.
kind of interesting because I put the candies there as like oh well, if they're not really into the photography, at least they'll have something to nibble on. We had a few drinks at the kind of the bar area, like free alcohol, and
Yeah.
people really weren't crazy about the alcohol, even if it was free, it was provided for them. So those were expenses that were built into the event, but
It's
it was
crazy
like
though.
the people didn't they come to just get drunk, and they didn't just come to eat. They came to talk about photography, to talk with me, to talk with Lisa, to buy the book, buy the stickers. That was really cool. So that was something that I learned like, oh, hey, if you put out good work, the extra stuff or the nice to haves are clearly nice to haves, but you don't have to really stress about them like, oh man, they need food or they need drink. They really don't.
Yeah.
So it was just a wonderful event, and it was in the right space. Like my marketing, it was in Shimokitazawa, which really is perfect space for expression and art and creators and people doing their own kind of thing. And the foot traffic was great. I saw lots of people who hadn't even heard about the event, didn't see any of the marketing, walk by, see all of us having a great time, and they just stepped in, and a couple of those people bought some things. So that was really, really cool. Also, a couple of learning lessons,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
be lying if I said everything was perfect. So I spent too much on food, which was a learning lesson, but I got to eat the chocolate afterwards. So it's kind of like still a perk. Um, the alcohol kind of like evened out. Like we didn't come close to running out. Um, so there were a few beers and cocktails and juices and stuff that we just kind of handed to people as we were closing up. Because hey, I don't plan on drinking anymore after this. It's like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So so we probably could have shrunk our beverage budget a little bit. Also, the prints that I sold, which whenever I make a print, I like having them as well. So when prints don't sell, it doesn't really upset me because I make images that I would like to have in my home as well. So
Yeah.
I didn't overprint anything, but when I spoke with a couple of people, one of them being a prominent photographer in Japan, he even mentioned to me, he goes, "Prints don't sell." And he's a busy guy and he's very popular, and he didn't elaborate, and I didn't press him, you
Yeah.
know, but that remark, I was like, okay, let me be conservative about the prints that I print out. And then another friend of mine who lived in Japan for quite some time, but now went back to her home country, she goes, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't expect to print to buy prints or do things that are framed because in Tokyo, there's a large segment of people who are renting." And she goes, "People don't really damage walls or put things on walls or risk damaging walls." She said, "The decorating the walls thing is a no-go in Tokyo." So she goes, "That probably would have been something because the prints were A4 size. They're not huge, but they've got a
Decent
decent
size.
size. And then
Yep. Yep. Yep.
also, a lot of Japanese living quarters in Tokyo are conservative and small in size. So when you're asking someone to bring something sizable into their home, there was like this calculus that has to be done. Like, can this fit? And then also, if it's someone who's renting, do they wanna risk putting on the wall and potentially damage something? Because, we've heard the horror stories about also the moving costs in Tokyo and just moving to new apartments with key money and then reserve money and then guarantee you don't wanna risk damaging an apartment that you don't own or a space that you don't own. That was fine, but there is a market for prints here in the States, so a lot of the prints that didn't move, I just got them here in the States, and the event, the books paid for itself, the stickers paid for it, so any print costs, I'm not even worried about. It
Yeah.
just was taken care of. That's
I
how
want
well go ahead.
No, I said that's just amazing. Do you think with that like in mind, you could do some sort of Trader Joe bag, right? That you attach like your prints to. You know what I mean? Like some sort of smaller version of the photos that you have where somebody could grab it, wear it, take it. Would that have anything?
I don't know. I know in the past, I've been told that, postcard sets do well
Okay.
because they can kinda be taped to something, smaller, so little 4 by 6s or 3 by 5s or 5 by 7, something smaller, um, where there's not a risk of it damaging anything to affix it to something, right?
Yeah.
Also, my book is smaller this time, like, last book, Combate, was hardcover and quite large, This one is 8.5 by 8.5. Um, it's much. God, it's not working. But
We could see it. Kind of like vinyl-esque, buddy,
yeah,
for those
so
listening.
that was weird. So the book this time is much more conservative and thoughtful when it comes to Japanese homes, and maybe they're more selective about space.
Yeah,
So I feel great about that. But people love the form factor of the book. They love the structure of the book. They love the dual sided story aspect of it. Everyone was pleased. And that was really cool. I'm just over the moon about it. And that event turned into some other opportunities later on in my trip while I was still there. So that was really cool. It was just great, and it really fulfilled a lot of my dreams 2.0. It really fulfilled a lot of my aspirations to work with Japanese talent in their space, create a narrative story, work with other Japanese creatives, like the design the Yume kanji on the cover, that was designed by a
cool.
Japanese
Yep,
gentleman,
yep, yep, yep.
and he even showed up to the event. He was like, "Yo, like I'm coming through," and I got to meet him. His name is Tora. He was great. We took a picture together, and it's funny because like I saw him walk up like outside, and then I saw him look at the sign like in front of the venue, and I saw like his eyes get big because he saw his design in the poster. It was a really cool moment. It was awesome. So that felt really quite good. Just a lot of happiness with that night, man. That's all I can say. A lot of happiness.
Love it, my friend. Love it, love it, love it. Love it to hear it because I'm sitting here removed from the situation, but I care about you. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I hope people show up because you've invested all of this and it's that unknown of, I know if you have a show here, you're going to have an audience, right? You're going to have people showing up. You've done it multiple times. But that whole thing of being halfway around the world in a venue that you have seen online and then hoping that this ends up working out. So, man, when you sent me those initial pictures, I was just like, hey, they recognize quality no matter where you are in the world. So that's wonderful, man. Wonderful, wonderful. I love it.
No, it was really cool. And so to start establishing myself as an artist there in that space, it was neat. It was really, really cool. And to meet other photographers and other kind of people who enjoy the arts, it was awesome.
Love it, my friend. Hey, my friend, I know you sent me a Google Drive link as well with some pictures of the event and kind of some things that were going on. Do you want to switch over to that now?
Yeah, sure, we can definitely do that, my friend.
Awesome. Let's see here. Let's see. We'll start off with our first one. And this is, and like when you sent this to me, and I saw the people there, and it was just like that quick glance of walking by.
Hmm.
And man, I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Just as soon as I saw, that going on, I'm like, yes, yes.
So it's crazy because that was pretty early on, and that's when people were still kind of filing in. And again, my thought was that people would show up, look at a photo or two, buy a sticker, maybe talk to Lisa for a little bit, buy a book, get it signed, and then leave. So that didn't happen. I guess people were having such a great time that people just stuck around. So later on in the night, that was completely full, and I was kind of tipsy because I was having a great time, and people continued to talk about the art, talk about the book, talk about Lisa's kind of approach to the project. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way, was that maybe a venue that was a slightly bigger venue would have worked a little better, because when it was packed, my producer who was there, Stephanie, who helped set it up, she saw some people look in, stop, see that it
They go,
was
nope.
full, and then keep
Yeah.
going. So she was like, yeah, we might have lost some sales because people were packed to the door. And I was like,
Yes.
oh, that's cool, but that sucks. um, so that was a learning lesson. I completely misjudged people wanting to stick around. People really saw it as not just a place to look at photography, but to hang out and connect with photography enthusiasts and other artists and really just have a good time. There was quite a few times during the night where it was crowded in there and loud. So I stepped out with 2 or 3 people and we just had conversations outside because there were just so many people there. But at the same time, it was like, well, Maurice, you got to be inside and advocating for the art and trying to push sales. So that was kind of like a weird thing, but because I had to wear a bunch of different hats. Can I just kind of sit back and enjoy this? Can I just like be a fan right now?
For a month, yeah, geek out. Let me geek
Yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah. And I tried to juggle that, and I probably didn't. I probably could have done a better job of being a better salesman. But because my philosophy is like, if you like it, you like it. I don't have to push it on you,
Yep.
But at the same time, I shouldn't be afraid to advocate for my art because I'm happy that I did it. So there was a balance there of like figuring out a good, are you super hands-on, kind of leave people alone? Do you let them kind of come to you, or do you offer insights when they're trying to question something? But I think I did a pretty good job, and I think people had a good time.
Outstanding, my friend. Here we go. There we
So
go.
yeah, that's so I have to give a shout out to my vendor who created the books because I said, "Hey, look, I have this event going on and I need some test books for the Japanese event. Not a ton, but enough to satisfy eh, demand." And we sold through almost all of them. And that was really cool. Anyway, I'm getting in the weeds because I'm so happy looking at that photo. But the printing house was like, "When do you need it?" I said, "I need it by this date." And they were like, "Are you kidding me?" And they were like, "All right, we'll make it happen." And they made it happen. They did, and that was really freaking cool. So from the prints to the stickers to the books, even a smaller batch like this, because there's going to be a larger batch when the Kickstarter thing goes on, they saw it as a piece of that larger order. So the pricing was still good. The print house really, really came through for me. They double checked on the
Gorgeous.
files and the images. They double checked on whenever they had a first one printed out. They sent me videos. They said, "Hey, is this how you want it structured?" I said, "Yes, that's perfect." I said, "Run it. Let's go." And then I paid for it while I was in the States. I flew to Japan, and then they have it shipped in Japan, and it lands right where it's supposed to. The only hiccup with the book was that the shipping was $7. When it got to my producer's house, she had to give them like 1,000 yen, and I'm like, "Oh, $7? That's fine." So
Yeah, yeah.
everything was perfect, and the book is gorgeous. Man, it looks so good. So that's the story of that picture.
And with the cover, my friend, am I looking at this right and seeing that it's two separate covers for the same book, or is this like the back and front of the book?
It's the back and the front.
Buddy. I was like,
Yeah,
I love it. I know because you said you flip through each side and you have that story that's going on. Buddy, I couldn't love it more.
and because you physically flip it over and it starts again. It's really
Awesome.
cool.
Love it. Love it. Here we go.
So that's just another street view, kind of Shimokitazawa. Really great space.
Love the
It
sign.
has that that authentic Tokyo feel, little side streets, little businesses. And that's another thing that I need to mention to people. If you haven't been to Tokyo and you look at this venue, like, oh, that's kind of small. A lot of Japanese businesses just are small like that. That's it.
Yep.
Some of these like izakayas and some of these smaller restaurants are even smaller than that. And you just have to walk sideways to get to the back. So that's kind of a standard appeal. But when you have it like that, you have so many different offerings in such a smaller space. It really, really is a cool experience. And we're in the States, we're so used to massive stores that
Yeah.
are separate. And even in strip malls or these strip malls, it's like the space that each one of these stores take up could be anything.
100%.
But Japan, it's like, oh, it's small. It would make it work, and it's a cool experience, and I love that photo because it really does. I forget when we took that. Did we take that when we were breaking down? Because we were having such a good time that we knew that we didn't take enough photos, so we're like, oh, we got to start taking some more photos. So I think that was at the end of the night because we were just having a ball in there, man. But the area was perfect, and I would jump at the chance to do another event in Shimokitazawa.
It seems you like when you had that, it's just like you picked it up, and that 100% is, and I love the promo you got going right there too, buddy. For me, I appreciate that in the lower left hand corner. Just like, look at that, baby. Look at that.
No, I included this photo because I was so
Uh,
excited because That's the designer. That's Tora. That's the designer of the Yume kanji, the dream kanji. And I was just so excited because here's the thing. I met that dude on the internet. I met him on Fiverr, and because I need a designer who can do Japanese kanji that doesn't look like a font. And I saw his page, and his credentials are ridiculous. He's done a lot of custom designs and custom calligraphy for all sorts of businesses, from offices to restaurants to packaging. His work speaks for itself. And I was so excited to reach out to him. He goes, I'm free. I can work on this right now. And he was fast and he was responsive, and he just made me something special that was just for me. And it's funny, a little small story about that is that after he left, because he told me ahead of time, he was like, "Oh, I can only show up for a little bit because I have other stuff going on." But he stayed for like a few hours. He got drunk with me. He bought a book and some stickers. It was great. And then he bounced because he had to, because someone else came with him. Um, but after he had left, about 30 or 40 minutes after he left, a woman came in and was looking at the book, and she goes, "Who designed this kanji?" And I said, "Oh, that's Tora." And she goes, "It's excellent. This kanji's amazing." And I said, "I know." I know.
You just missed him.
Right, you missed him. But really, like he did such a great job, and it pulls together so many assets of the project in general. And it made the cover perfect. It on both sides of it. And I told him before he left, I'm like holding this guy's hand. I'm like, "Yo," I said, "we got to work together again." I said, "You have no idea just how much this just your kanji brought it all together." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "I see the value in this now." I have to give my producer, Stephanie, some credit because she goes, and she's Japanese, or she's half, but she's Japanese. And she goes, "Yo," she goes, "with your last project, the Kiko," she goes, "it was good, but there are a lot of elements where it was like, oh, it was clear that a foreigner made this."
Yep.
And she goes, "That's something that we're not, there's nothing wrong with that, but do you want it to look like a project that was made specifically by a foreigner?" And I said, "No." I said, I want to do something else. I want to try to make it look a bit more authentic." And she goes, "All right, well, I'm not going to hold your hand, but you need to find a designer to go create some kanji for this." And so just her kind of planting that seed led me to Tora, which led to the Yume kanji, which tied it together, which even other Japanese people were like, "Yo, this is great. This is good." And I sincerely meant it. I hope I work with that guy again because I just know exactly how good he is. And his
Yes.
workflow was extraordinary. He's fast, responsive, communicative, and his work speaks for itself.
Love it, buddy. Love it. Again,
Oh yeah, that was our little back table where we had booze and selections and stuff. Because I was keeping a lot of the stock away from all that. So if someone asked for it, I'd go behind there and get a drink, or I'd go
yeah.
behind there and get another book. So we didn't have them all set out at once. So that was what that was going on.
Love the orange juice too, you know.
Yes, so not everyone likes to drink alcohol. So it was good. We had to have some orange juice and some green tea for them as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would have started with the OJ and flipped right into the alcohol, but at least I have that help to begin with. Come on.
All
Second
right,
most
so
handsome in the man in the world after you, buddy.
I took this picture for you. Um, I'm not a baseball guy, but
As I'm wearing my jersey today, this
yeah,
is
yeah, you're
perfect
you're
timing.
clearly the
Look at the
baseball
color,
guy.
the colors.
Yeah, you're the baseball guy, and I took this for you. I thought about this, and I said, Here is a Show Otani float." Said, who is going to appreciate a Show Otani's float?" And I said, "It's going to be Mike."
Buddy, with not to go on the tangent, but with how the Cubs been doing recently, they've had 2 10-game win streaks, which is outrageous. One, like to begin the season, is huge.
Hmm.
2 gives you the best record in baseball. It breaks all these different records, and they have been so much fun to watch. I'm ready to go back. Just like looking for another book for you, buddy. Um, you know, I can't get enough. And I will say, my favorite, not that these were put in any certain order, but this photo and then the last photo that you have were the ones that like I enjoy all your work, but these were the 2 that hit you know, that like, cool, you know, when I'm looking at things. So I love it, buddy.
So this photo came about in an interesting way because there's a YouTuber I know. His name was his YouTube channel name is X-Japter.
Yeah.
He's a teacher that works in a university, and he's been in Japan for 20 years, and he just talks about Japan like from like a perspective of someone who's been there for 20 years. So he doesn't really do tourist stuff. That's not his scene.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, to me, I've been to Japan so many times that a lot of the surface level, like, tourist stuff doesn't really apply to me because a lot of the times I'm not there to do tourist stuff, I'm there to work, right?
Yeah.
So I like a bit more of, like, culturally relevant or or relevant and or culturally dense information. And so he really kinda scratches that itch with his channel, and I met him a while ago because he was in Gambate. He was in my book. He was wearing a suit and wearing a
The
pair of
sneakers.
Jordans and a
Yeah. The sneaker
yeah,
guy.
yeah. So he's a great guy. He's become a bit of a friend, I would like to think. And he invited me out. He goes, "Hey man, have you been to Fujiosh oh man, Fujiyoshida? I think it's I'm gonna mess up I think it's Fujiyoshida." And I said, "No, I've never been out there." He goes, "I'll show you around." And so I met him out there. I rode the Fuji Q, the train, which was really cute. It was my first time ever riding that out there. Um, and we were driving around, and he goes, "Look at this, like this Fuji view." And I said, "Oh my God." And so I'm like fumbling at the red light, like to take pictures. Um, and it just worked out perfectly with you got the kid running across the street,
Yep.
and I don't feel too bad about taking a picture of the kid because the kid's wearing a mask,
Yep.
so you can't identify the kid, so I feel better about that. And then also, not to get into like the politics of mask thing, but masking is still like a thing there. Like people, it's not
Can't wait.
everybody,
Can't
but
wait, buddy.
yeah, a good decent amount of people are still wearing masks, and that includes children and adults and all kinds of people. So
It's like
that was interesting.
that and my sun covering. You know, you know,
Yeah.
I would be there, and I'll just be like, people will be like, "Yeah, you're, you know, you're a big guy, but you know."
The sun coverings are a thing too. Like I was out walking around, and it was during a particularly warm day where there was like no cloud coverage, and I saw a woman wearing like a full hoodie with the face mask and the gloves that come all the way up here, and her bicycle had like the hand coverings, and I'm like, "Oh, this lady's not getting any sun. She's not taking any chances." So she had all the whole deal on. So that was really interesting, but I had never gotten that close to Fuji before, and you really don't understand how big it is. It just like once you start getting close to it, it just dominates the horizon. Like dominate is the only word I can think of to describe it. It's just huge. And on a clear day, which I got lucky with, to see all the way to the top of the snow-capped top, I was like, "Man, I gotta take a ton of photos of this thing." And that's one of my favorites. I love it to death, and because I'm back now and I've taken a few more photos, there is this idea like, do I see if I can amend Dreams 2.0 to add this in there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
If I can do that and it doesn't cause so many problems with the print house or the print shop, I might see if I can add in a couple more pages just as like an extra, oh, look, these were things that happened during, you know, my trip where I had my event, it as like an aside or an addendum or
Yes,
amendment.
yes.
I would like that. So I'll see if I can and manage to fit those extra images in there.
It's a great idea, buddy.
Yeah, that was another one. I'd always want to try and do more like long shutter kind of stuff. And one thing that I messed up in preparing because I didn't think I was gonna take any photos. I was like, I got this event going. I'm not gonna take no photos. But I did have my camera, but I didn't bring my tripod. So one thing I was like, man, I want to do long shutter stuff and do like the drag of like the blurring of the train. So here I'm in the train station doing handheld long shutter stuff to not move, you know. And I think I did a pretty good job on that. There's not too much blur in any of like the environment. It looked pretty clean. And I really like that photo. I really, really like it. I want to say that was probably around 11:30 at night near
Okay.
last train. So right when it was getting kind of empty, but not at last train when everyone kind of like it's like the last ditch effort to get home, you know? So I love that photo. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it was fun to make. And there's so many like train nerds in Tokyo. So when people see you kind of posted up looking at the train with a camera, they know exactly what they're doing, what you're doing, and they don't get freaked out or weirded out. They don't get in the way. They get out of the way if anything,
Yeah,
because they know that people really like trains. And that just came. I have quite a few of those photos, and that's one of the best ones that really like highlight the I don't know, like the right like how it just like the leading lines go far into the horizon and the distance and this I love it to death, man. I love it.
buddy.
Oh, and then that one. You know, it's actually kind of funny. Someone just bought me bought a print of that.
As soon as I saw it for me, I was like, man, if you see those things where it's like, you know, when I win the lotto, I won't come out and say it, but there'll be signs, and that'd be 100% some sort of sign in that regard. I'd have some cars, buddy. I'd have some cars that are just like, things that are there.
So someone just bought a print of this and I'm super grateful for that. I'm also going to try to see if I can get that into the book as well. It was the Shibuya Scramble. I've been to the Shibuya Scramble so many times that it doesn't do a whole lot for me,
Yep,
you know?
yep, yep, yep,
But every now and then, you get the itch, you go down there, and the energy is unmistakable. And on a good night, it's a lot of fun to be down there because one thing that you do see is people who were there for their first time. And you get to capture a lot of that. You got to get to enjoy that kind of vicariously through them.
yep,
That's actually a pretty cool thing. Yeah, there's some annoying kind of people who kind of like do weird stuff in the middle of the street during each like circulation of the lights or whatever. Yeah, that happens. But it's a good time and everyone's kind of enjoying it. And on certain nights, she's like the nice cars come out. And I've seen Lamborghinis and Ferraris go through there. But I have some friends who are into racing and they're into JDM stuff and they're into the GTR. And that's a GTR. I've never seen a GTR in person.
yep. Just like in anime.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So I was like, holy cow. And it's interesting because like, I heard it before I saw it. And, I've played enough Gran Turismo where I'm like, "Oh, I know what that sound is," you know? So, I looked over and it's like this really stellar blue. It's sticking out. This car has to be 25 years old.
Yeah.
It's the Skyline GTR, I think it is.
Yep.
Um,
That was my
it's
go-to car in
yeah,
Gran Turismo, buddy.
yeah. It it the body style is so distinct, like, we know what it is. Um Man, it's cool. It's really cool. And like I said, I wanted to do some shutter drag stuff and some slow shutter stuff. Um, and I forget the rate at which I was shooting. It might have been 1/15th or 1/10th or one, I don't know. I can't remember, but it was slow. And I did burst firing, so I did burst shooting. So
Yep.
it's like I'm like, please just let one of these be in focus. Please, please, please. And the rear of that car and the silhouette of it and the tail light pattern is so distinct.
This thing. 100%.
And for me to nail that when it was speeding through traffic, I was like, "Okay, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this again," you know? Man, it was cool, man, and I just gosh, I'm so happy with that photo. I'm so happy with it.
Can see, man. Hang it up.
Okay, so this is an aside. That's Hikari. Her name is Hikari. She's a model that's represented by a really big Tokyo modeling agency, and so my producer, Stephanie, who helped me set up this event, who has built quite a few relationships with these modeling because Stephanie's a fashion photographer. She's a fashion photographer and a stylist, and she does some other stuff around Tokyo with marketing and image and big clients. Like she's worked for Marriott and she's done all sorts of stuff. So she's the real deal. So she goes, "Hey, look, I'm thinking about reaching out to these modeling agencies because we I have some stuff I have to do for them. Do you want to see if we could get you approved for a shoot? And I'm like, whoa. She goes, no guarantees. She goes, because they have to like your work. She says, they're not going to let you just shoot their models and your work sucks. So Stephanie really, leaned on her relationships with them to kind of vouch for me. And also, she's probably like, oh yeah, this guy's also doing like a photo event here. He's not just some random tourist guy with a camera. And that I forget the company. I'd have to look it up because forgive me, my brain is mush. But they were like, "Yo, we can work with you on this." And Hikari is one of the models that we shot with. Stephanie's stuff, because mine stuff was allowed to be put on social media. Stephanie's doing some bigger campaign stuff with the models that she shot with that I wish I could show you, but her work is extraordinary. So I hope that whenever, because I was an assistant on her shoots, so I hope that whenever those get published, because I think they're probably going to get published. I'll get some assistant credits in Tokyo, which would be pretty cool. But Hikari was excellent, and it's interesting because I've shot some fashion stuff, but like it's weird when you see like in person like the supermodel class or people who they think will make supermodel class. Hikari is like tall as a giraffe. You can't really tell, but this woman is super tall. And like in that photo, you can almost kind of see like her head is almost like hitting the ceiling in that little
Yeah.
Japanese house.
Yeah.
Like this woman's super duper tall. And so we rented like this traditional Japanese space. And so if she were wearing heels, which you don't wear shoes on the inside, but if she were wearing heels, she would have, her head would have touched the ceiling. So that was a really interesting thing where it's just like you meet models who are going to do like fashion walks
Huge.
with big
Yep.
brands, and you see just how different they are than regular human beings. So that was wild. And I shot some extraordinary photos with her. She's super talented. She didn't let my bad Japanese get in the way. She was like, all right, she goes, we'll work through this. And she was extremely easy to work with. But shout out to her agency, shout out to Hikari, shout out to Stephanie for setting it up and vouching for me with the agencies because this is something I could not have done. There's just no way I could have done this on my own.
100%, buddy. It's like,
That's another model that was from the same agency. That's Hamika. And Hamika is another like she shows up and she's, at the bottom of the Genkan. So you don't see how tall she is. And she has like the face of like a baby, even though she's an adult. And I'm like, oh hey. And then it was another situation where she stepped out of the Genkan and then she's like you have no clue how tall these people are. And I'm like 5'8", 5'9", so I'm not tall by any means, but I'm not short. And I am tall for Japan. So to see this tall woman with like this baby face, just like it was something else. It was really cool. It was really cool.
oh, man.
And like I said, Hamika is just an adorable, adorable woman, very lovely, great energy, but also extremely hardworking. Um, Extremely hardworking. We were working with her for a few hours because I think that all the models had other stuff to do that day. They are busy. Um, and so just a lovely lady, great energy, extremely grateful. A lot of fun.
I think, like, if anything, my friend, it's one of those things where I think you can tell in some ways you have people that are amazing in all they do, but I think you can also tell, connections. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I can tell that you get those from people you're interacting with. I mean, you can, I don't know, just looking at them and things like that. You're just like, they're having a good time.
I appreciate that. And that feels good to say or to hear because I think that there is an authenticity that we should strive for when we're capturing images. There should be a warmth there where it's like, oh, it's very clear that this person was in a space where they could create their best work, where they could relax and just be in the moment to deliver something genuine. And that's something that I'm really proud of. Really, really proud of that. Extremely proud of that. Yeah, that feels good. That feels good to hear. Thank you, man. But moving on to this. This is Sakari again, and this was a different outfit that she had worn for the session, and this was like so with Stephanie. her being a stylist and having shot fashion photography, she said to me, she goes, Maurice, I know you like really strong, powerful portraits. You really like to get the emotion through. She goes, but you have to understand that when you're shooting fashion photography, the focus is fashion. She goes, you are
Clothes,
there
yeah.
to service the clothes. The model
That
is there to service the clothes. So I know you want to get what you want to get, but you can't fail at the mission. The mission is clothing. And so with this set with Hikari, it was we have to depict a lifestyle, a woman where this clothing is appropriate for her. This fashion is appropriate. It all fits together. So I had to step back mentally because everyone on set was more experienced than I was with fashion stuff. I was the baby. Speaking of babies, I was the baby. So it was like, oh, how do I make sure that the clothing and the presentation of a woman who would naturally wear this clothing come to the forefront? And I spoke with Hikari a little bit about a woman who's kind of like thinking about something. I forget the words that I was saying in my broken Japanese, but she's like, "I got you," and she just really just melted into this woman who looks right at home, who is looking towards the horizon for either something or someone, and she is draped in like this classy kind of simple wardrobe, and it just fits. Um, she is so good, and it was nice and overcast, and it was windy, so we got, like, this really nice breeze, and her hair is going it was just perfect. Really, really great time.
I love the light hitting the garb as well, and then
Oh, it's
across
great, it's
that
great.
edge, just love it.
It's perfect. And then
We go.
I get even though it was like, "Okay, I'm serving the clothing, I'm serving the agency, I gotta get something for me," you know?
That's what I was like, I'm like, you could tell, like, there are differences, like, for, within the photos for what it is and, like, what you're doing, but man, this I was clicking through it, I was like, "Yep," I go, "There we go." There's Maurice, like, showing off like, showing off again that, like, connection, and it's like, it did, like, looking at that and, the reaction you get, it's just like yeah, like, made me skip a breath as I'm coming through, I'm just like,
Man,
"Wow." I don't know
I
what
love that
I
photo.
don't know what I don't know. I just it did, though, it did for that moment, so
Well, I appreciate that, and it's a cool thing because it's just like it's getting to the point now where, like, people know when I see, like, a Maurice photo. So, after hanging out with me for a couple hours and we're just kind of working through this and we got the team kind of shuffling around the house, Hikari and I really kind of developed like, "Oh, I know what this guy wants," right? I know what he's seeking for, and, that was one of the last photos. That was one of the last photos, and I said, "I just need something that really just brings it all home to kind of who is this woman?
that
What is the state of her being? If this were the last moment, what would she be saying to the camera, to the audience with her eyes? And that's what I got. And it was cool because like it doesn't completely abandon the styling because we
no,
have the
yeah,
ring. We have the rings that are present in the frame. We
yep,
have the clothing that still has a really good bit of texture in there to kind of show the like the intricate threading of the sweater. We still have like the kind of slightly disheveled hair just a little bit to show like the bit of turmoil and drama in there. And then the way that the light falls off, it's such a soft light. It's perfect. I absolutely love it. And I remember because the agency gave me the okay to post it online, and I was like, "Thank you." And I remember I put it on my Facebook, and someone messaged. They're like, "Yo, this was like a movie," and I said,
100%, 100%, buddy.
"It's not a movie, but that
Could
to
be.
hear that is like an extraordinary compliment for my work because I'm a filmmaker at heart. I
Absolutely.
really am. I'm a storyteller at heart. And so for to get fashion models with professional styling and professional location and need to find a space and time in that area to create an image that looks like a feature film still, I just was over the moon for that.
Love it, man, and I'm like, yeah, you could sell either or both. Like you could definitely look below and expect to see that sweater listed, for sale in sizes I'll never fit into. And and the ring as well, like in that accessory portion of stuff, it's just like, but it is. I mean, like, you look at that, yeah, yeah. Like love it, buddy. Love it.
It was really
Let's
cool,
see.
man. It was
Let's
really
see.
cool.
Why don't we get stop our sharing? Excellent. Back to two handsome guys. Buddy, I love it. I really appreciate you hopping on today with me,
Mhm.
just to go about this again. And as it nears closer to you doing your Kickstarters and everything, we'll definitely hit up again because I'd like to continue to promote everything I can in that regard, my friend. I have an episode for Tokyo, being that we've talked about all these different things, but I have an episode on Tokyo, kind of like off the beaten path day trip things that are in these hip, cool areas
Oh,
that we've
yeah.
been kind of talking about. And I'm very excited to have this one drop. So I need to finish adding a few things to it today, record it today, edit it today, and get it out today so that I can enjoy Mother's Day tomorrow. Head out to my mom's, and she's ordering some deep dish Giordano's
Ooh.
pizza the night before, and then we're going to heat it up the following day. So you can't threaten me with a good time and not have me show up. So I will be there in force, my man. And I've been doing my courses and things, and it's been wonderful. And I could not be more appreciative, buddy. Like I said, get some promotions and things going along, but I appreciate your time, appreciate you, buddy. Can't wait for us to share a adult beverage or orange juice together. When I'm finally in Hiroshima full time at my Casa de Shulki, and bring you to a baseball game, part of a baseball game, for the carp out there. But thank you, buddy. Thank you, my brother. Enjoy it all. Thank you for being on. Anything else you want to throw out before we exit for today? Stage left.
Oh, gosh, I just remembered. I have a vinyl record I have to send you.
You're good, buddy. I said, when it
No,
gets here, it
I'm
gets here.
back in the States now. It's in my closet. Chat. Okay, before we leave, tell me about this band because I don't know who they are.
So for me, it's Chat Munchie, like a Chatto Munchie, Chat Munchie. But so like you have recommended music to you, right? And
Hmm.
I feel like music for me has always had a connection
Mm,
to
mm,
me. And both of us kind of shared about childhoods and things like that. And there were, you know, my father, was a huge positive in my life. Fortunately, and unfortunately, fortunately, he's able to provide for my family. But it took him on the road a lot, right? Who I was left with, I say Mother's Day I'm celebrating is going to be my stepmom, Taika, but she is, for all intents and purposes, who I consider to be my mom and who I'm going to be hanging out with tomorrow. But it was left behind with this person, right? My escape through so much was like music and movies, and I am still like a very like, the world provides what you need before you know what you need if you're like open to it, right? And this album, the one that I sent you, sent you to get because you're like, you need to pick something. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, like I was talking to my son, I'm like, this is like for somebody who doesn't ask for things, that was like a huge thing. But once I stumbled across it, it was like, this was it. And they're like the blue album that they have hit at a certain point for me, and it was like a soundtrack of like just getting you through a certain time, right? And I could push play on that album and listen all the way through, and if I needed to, like an additional time. So it has like a lot of just personal feels and things to it. And it's a group, sometimes you stumble across those bands, groups, performers that you miss out on getting an
mm,
opportunity to see because that time is gone. They are not touring anymore. They're not performing. In fact, they had on their YouTube channel, they had some videos coming out of performances and things. And I was like, oh man, are they coming back? Like, are they going to like do some sort of like, 10-year tour, like whatever it is, like we've retired, but like we're going to pop back just for like, a few shows and things because I need to figure that out if that's the case. But like, no, it was like a best of that they were coming out with. But just for me, like there's different albums, different things, and even though I don't understand everything that they're saying or near most of it, right? Still have that connection and stuff there. So, man, buddy, it means the world to me that you got it, and I do appreciate it. Like I said, definitely worth the listen, my friend, just to jam out to and go through. They have a great sound. If they ever do come back, that's going to be one of those things I'm going to have to figure out because Steffi, friend of the show, Steffi, friend of you, she I sent her the information for my other big group, Shishamo, and they're the ones that I saw live. Well, they're having a farewell this July, and they're
Oof.
done, right? Like they're done. It's been more than 10 years, but they all want to have families. And for whatever silly reason, like I don't get it at times. Like I don't know everything about the whole situation or like behind the scenes and stuff, but I don't get how female performers can't have like or groups can't have like a family and a scaled back like touring, or like,
Mhm.
once in a while type thing. It's like you have a family and it's like you're just done.
Mhm.
But, yeah, they're gonna be, stepping back and things, and I put in because of the CD I bought, which was a best of them, there was like a raffle, and I'm like, "If I get picked to do one of these 2 final shows," I'm like, "I'm going." I said, "Even if I gotta charge this, I'll figure it out later." Like, even if I'm flying in to catch the show and then, like, flipping back and coming home during the middle because it was, for stuff I do, but yeah, man, love it. Sorry for the ramble there, but yeah, it's just
No, I love
like
it. It,
the
it was it was
movies,
cool. It was cool to
audios,
go do it.
you know, yeah, yeah. So it's huge, buddy. So like having that to connect with, I appreciate it. And you need to message me a shirt size as well, my friend. So once we're off the lines through our, you know, our chats and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm gonna have that like for our Patreon friends and things like that, our scones club, attire and things. I'm gonna have a site for that. I'm not gonna look to make any money off it. It's just gonna be like listed at whatever cost is, for basically they're making money hosting it for me, and selling it for me and getting it to
Mhm.
you. But it's gonna be something that I want like, our Patreon friends and our friends of the show, brothers from another mother, that are constantly on the show and hanging out with me and important people in my life to have. So we'll be getting that your way too, buddy. So
Heck yeah, man.
thank
I'll
you.
definitely take that.
Yeah.
No, this was a pleasure, man. And in the future, when I'm in Japan, if you haven't made it back yet, I do not mind a little treasure hunt. So it was a joy to go find it, and it was really really cool that I got to do that for you.
Thank you, my friend. But and with that, just look forward to us hanging out again and looking at more of what you have coming out, especially adding more to that. You saw things if you were a part of this adventure way before the other Kickstarter group, that they can join in and come into this, and you're gonna be like, man, I was there way before, back in May. May, baby, May, or before that, April. But yeah, this our biweekly show, this hanging out, this having fun, having all of these different creative people to go off of is a wonderful thing. But thank you. Thank you all for being here. And on behalf of Lost Without Japan and the entire crew, we'd like to thank you again for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on board again on our next regularly scheduled episode as we continue our discussion on Japan, travel, culture, and those lost without moments you make for yourself and the ones that we make together. To everyone out there, Oginki Day, stay well, my friends.